Some people call it fate, others call it luck. But maybe it's something much closer to you, something that's been quietly shaping your life from the moment you opened your eyes this morning. Think about the days when everything just seems to flow. The right people show up, little problems solve themselves, and you feel lighter without knowing why. And then there are days where it feels like the whole world is against you, where nothing works, and the smallest thing can tip you over the edge. What if those two kinds of days aren't random at all? What if, in ways we don't always notice, the world is simply echoing back what we've been carrying inside us? I want you to imagine the universe not as a faraway, unreachable thing, but as a mirror so vast you can't see its edges. It doesn't have opinions. It doesn't keep score. It doesn't decide what's good or bad for you. It just reflects. Whatever you send out, it sends back. The tone of your thoughts, the weight of your feelings, the little undercurrent of belief you carry, all of that becomes the language you use to speak to this mirror. And here's the quiet truth. It's listening all the time. You might not notice it right away. Sometimes the reflection comes quickly, like snapping your fingers. Other times, it's slower, like ripples spreading across a still lake. But eventually, it comes. If you've ever woken up already dreading the day ahead, maybe you've noticed how quickly that feeling multiplies. A bus runs late. A message arrives with bad news. You spill your coffee. It piles on. And if you've ever started your morning feeling light, maybe you've noticed how small good things seem to appear in a chain. A stranger smiles at you. A problem at work solves itself. You stumble into a lovely coincidence. It's not that life suddenly changed its mind about you. It's that your inner world shifted and the mirror responded. The most important part to understand is that this mirror doesn't care about the words you use. You can say, "I'm fine," 1,000 times, but if the feeling behind it is worry or resentment, that's what gets reflected. The energy always speaks louder than the sentence. That's why two people can want the same thing and yet have very different experiences trying to get it. One might feel certain, grateful, already halfway there, and doors open for them. The other might feel anxious, doubtful, waiting for proof, and somehow the goal seems to keep slipping further away. You've probably felt both of those states yourself. Think about a time you really believed something was going to work out, even without evidence. Maybe it was meeting someone new, starting a project, or moving to a new place. That quiet certainty, it's magnetic. And then think about a time you were sure it wouldn't work, how heavy that felt, and how quickly you found reasons to prove yourself right. That's the mirror in action. This isn't about pretending bad things don't exist or forcing yourself to be positive every second. It's about noticing what you're broadcasting and understanding that the universe is tuned to that frequency. If you constantly focus on what's missing, the reflection is more lack. If you focus on even the smallest things you already have, the reflection begins to show more abundance. And it doesn't need to be dramatic. Sometimes it's as simple as changing one thought. Imagine you're sitting in traffic. You can stew in frustration, muttering about how late you'll be, or you can take a breath and think, I have a few extra minutes to listen to this song I love. It might not fix the traffic, but it shifts the tone of your signal. Over time, those small shifts change the pattern of what comes back. The beauty of this is that it works quietly, without you needing to control everything. You don't have to shout your dreams into the sky or make a vision board the size of your living room, unless you want to. You just have to tend to the garden inside, the thoughts and feelings that grow there every day, because whatever blooms there will eventually appear in the world around you. Picture yourself standing in front of that giant mirror. You can't see the whole thing, but you know it's there. When you frown, the reflection frowns. When you smile, genuinely, from somewhere deep, the reflection smiles back. That's the simplicity of it. No matter what's happening outside, you can choose what to send into the mirror. And that choice is the beginning of every change you've ever wanted. The question is, what do you want to see looking back at you? So, how do you start changing what the mirror reflects? It's simpler than you might think, and it begins with paying attention. The first step is to notice what's already living in your mind, not in a harsh, judgmental way, more like gently checking the weather before you step outside. Some days your inner sky will be bright, and some days it will be overcast. That's normal. The point isn't to demand sunshine every day, but to be aware of the forecast you're sending out. Once you notice it, you have room to choose. If the thoughts looping in your head are filled with worry, pause and ask yourself, is this the signal I want to keep broadcasting? You don't have to wrestle the worry into silence. You just need to offer another thought, one that feels a little lighter. Maybe it's remembering something you're grateful for. Maybe it's imagining a moment you're looking forward to. These are small pivots, but they change the direction of the whole day. The second step is to practice feeling what you want before it arrives. This can feel strange at first. Our minds are trained to react to what's already here, not to what we hope for. But think about it like planting a seed. You water it, you picture it blooming, you care for it even before it breaks the soil. The feeling you give it is the sunlight that helps it grow. Let's say you want more peace in your life. Instead of thinking, when things calm down, then I'll relax, you start by finding moments of calm right now. Maybe it's sitting quietly with your tea in the morning, or taking a slow walk in the evening. You show your mirror what peace feels like, and it begins to find ways to reflect more of it back to you. The third step is to speak as if you are already living in the life you're building. Our words shape the edges of our beliefs. When you say, I will be happy someday, you're always placing happiness in the future, just out of reach. But when you say, I am finding happiness now, you give your mind permission to look for proof in the present. The mirror doesn't care whether it's a small moment or a big one. It will still reflect the feeling. Consistency is the fourth step. This isn't about forcing yourself to smile all the time. It's about coming back over and over to the signal you want to send. Even when old patterns sneak in, and you gently steer back toward the feeling you're choosing. Like adjusting the sails on a boat, these small corrections keep you on course. There are simple practices that make this easier. Journaling is one. Write down 3 things you're grateful for every day, no matter how small. Gratitude sharpens your focus toward what's already working, and the mirror loves to amplify that. Visualization is another. Spend a few minutes imagining a day in your life where something you want has already happened. Walk through it in your mind, what you see, hear, and feel. The more real it feels inside, the more clearly you're speaking to the mirror. Meditation helps too, not because it erases your thoughts, but because it gives you space to notice them without getting swept away. You start to see that you can choose which ones to keep and which to let pass. And then there's the simplest practice of all, paying attention to moments that already match what you're asking for. If you're looking for kindness, notice the small kindnesses that happen each day. If you want abundance, notice the ways life already provides, a meal, a warm bed, a friend's laughter. These moments are proof that the mirror is listening. Over time, you'll start to see a pattern. What you focus on, you find more of. What you feel deeply, you draw closer. It's not about controlling the entire world, it's about tuning your own signal. And when that signal changes, the reflections around you change too. There will still be challenges. Life will still have storms. But even in the middle of them, you can choose what you send into the mirror. You can choose a thought that steadies you, a feeling that carries you through. And sometimes that's enough to shift the whole experience. Imagine months from now, looking back and realizing how different things feel. Not because the world suddenly decided to be kinder to you, but because you started speaking to it in a different language, the language of your own chosen thoughts and feelings. That's the conversation you've been having all along, whether you knew it or not. Now you get to have it on purpose. So maybe tonight, before you sleep, you can try it. Close your eyes and think of something you truly want. Picture it in detail. Feel it as if it's already here. Let that feeling settle into you, warm and steady. That's the signal you're sending out. That's the seed you're planting in the mirror. And in its own time, in its own way, it will find a way back to you.